Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Fair Magic Podcast. I'm Levi, joined by Luke. And as you can see, that below us is not Jarrett. That is Dana, our friend Dana Roach from EDH Rec.
The new permanent member.
The new permanent member. You didn't know this, Dana.
I didn't, but like, I appreciate
it. Just is what it is.
Bringing this on me.
Yeah. You're locked in here with us.
This is just your life now. Yeah, you're not locked in here with us. You're locked in here with me. Dana, how are you?
I'm doing great. I've mostly recovered from MagiCon Atlanta.
Mostly recovered. Oh gosh,
it's a process.
Yes,
baby steps.
It's a whole deal. Yeah.
Dude, I lost my entire voice MagiCon Chicago this year. It was gone.
Atlanta by the third day. Yeah.
The karaoke did make my voice go away. And man, I'm sorry for just kind of like taking over this little segment right now immediately. But I gotta say these thoughts before they leave my head because I won't be able to say it. But I'm both happy and not happy that they didn't do a great job advertising for that karaoke event at MagiCon Chicago. Like,
oh yeah,
Jimmy Wong showed up and that was cool. And
Jimmy Wong, we did karaoke with Jimmy Wong, and that was
fun. Yeah. But like, there was like hardly anybody there, and the people that were there were like some real
hardcore karaoke.
Yeah, there were. People were so talented; it was amazing. And then like, but I wanted like more people to show up from the con, but also it felt more intimate. So like, you know,
it was us, Jimmy Wong, and like a couple other people that were doing karaoke.
And then like Jordan from Game Nights, that was his name.
Yeah,
right?
And Jordan. Yeah.
And then like, and like 20 other people, and that was it.
It was almost
Chicago also had that weird like liminal space in the basement with the low ceilings and like the yellow light, and that place was loud as hell too. So like that was what did it for me. I think
the Dreamscape. Yes, I remember the Dreamscape.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we were talking a little bit before the show how we're all kind of bummed that MagiCon Chicago is not back next year. Then we're going down to 3 MagiCons and up to is it 4 now? 4 UB sets. You know, everything's going all crazy. The count's all over the place.
Dana, you've got pull with Wizards. Tell them to get their shit together.
Man, I do not.
Shit.
Particularly given the amount of money that Final Fantasy and Lord of the Rings made, I don't think anyone has that kind of pull.
No, I'm not sure what would require what you'd have to do to get that kind of pull at this point, but. So basically, general topic for the day, we kind of want to talk more about like state of the game stuff a little bit, and just kind of, especially because now with that, at MagiCon Atlanta, we got the roadmap for 2026, where it's 3 in-universe sets, 4 UB sets, which they say is like kind of a one-off thing because of licensing, timing, and all that. We'll see. We'll see. But mainly that kind of stuff, and just kind of because. Luke and I have been playing Magic. We got in basically right before Return to Ravnica. So 2013, somewhere in there.
I remember nothing better than ripping open it was core set like what, 12 or 13 or whatever, and getting a swag tusk, baby. Oh,
do you remember the first?
I was a high roller. I pulled.
Oh 2. Yeah. The first night that I played Magic, we were playing at our store here over here in Eastern Iowa, and so this was back in Friday Night Magic when you like won a game and you get a pack. This is like old school Friday Night Magic. And the first 2 pack, I was using one of our friends' decks, and I won 2 games. And in the first 2 Ravnica packs, the first 2 Magic packs I ever pulled, I pulled a Sphinx's Revelation in both of them. And which at the time was a banger pull.
Oh yeah.
That was a banger. And Luke's like, holy shit. And I was like, I'm great at this. I'm never going to get a bad card out of one of these.
Well, like right before that, you had one where like, I cracked a Baneslayer. Well, I'm just going to win. Like if I cast this Baneslayer, I just like nobody can stop.
I am the card.
Yeah.
I will never lose again.
Psych Rift. I don't need that.
Throw
that shit away.
That 50-cent card. I don't need that trash.
See, and I was the dumbass that didn't know how to play Magic, and I kept all mine. Yeah, read and weep, fools.
Yeah.
But anyways, but Dana's been playing this game even a lot longer than us, so I just kind of wanted to weigh in there a little bit because with how things are, the average age what's the word, tenure of newer players that just haven't been in the game as long. So as a group of 3 of us, we've been in quite a while and have seen quite a few changes and stuff like that. So that was kind of the main topic. But then later on in the episode, we'll do a fun game too. But Dana, for anybody that somehow is not aware of you or the EDH Recast, if you want to give your elevator pitch.
Name's Dana Roach. I started off as a writer for EDH Rec, just an article writer. And at one point we started like somebody needed to do a podcast. So a bunch of writers they did like almost like an American Idol kind of deal, right?
I heard about this.
A bunch of
You
different.
guys have talked about it on your pod. Yeah, I like those behind the scene kind of episodes.
Yeah, those are
like
fun, yeah.
there was like, I don't know, like half a dozen of us, 8 of us, whatever it was. And Jason Alta actually kind of spearheaded the whole thing and just tried different combinations of people to see like who could bounce well off anybody basically, and what people had chemistry. And so Matt and Joey and I were the 3 that it kind of came down to. And I was already doing a podcast called Commander Central at the time too. So like I never had any intention of doing this seriously. Really, Commander Central was something I did with some friends locally for fun. And then I started writing for EDH Rec kind of to like promote Commander Central. And then, well, I'll try this EDH Rec cast thing, and like this is my job now. That's insane. It was not at all something I was planning on doing, but it like kind of worked out, I guess.
Yeah, hard to complain about it at this point. Yeah.
So I work for EDH. I work for EDH Rec. I'm on the cast, and I'm the community manager for Architect. So I wear a couple of hats there that keep me busy.
Yeah, it's a fun bunch over there at Space Cow. Lots of good stuff going on. But so as I kind of alluded to, we got the news for the schedule for next year. 3 standard set, 3 in-universe sets, 4 UB sets. And I think the evolution of this thing this whole thing has evolved alarmingly fast, because it was 2021 was when the first Walking Dead secret layer came out, and people were like, what the hell is this? But they're like, oh, it's just a one-off thing. We're not doing standards. And then here we are. We're only a few years down the road, and now we've got every set is in standard, and now more than half of them are UB sets, which they say is due to licensing and stuff like this. Coming from being in the game as long as you have, how have you processed this whole? The environment in Magic has changed dramatically in a really short span of time. How have you been kind of adjusting to it?
I mean, so I have to separate what I like from what's maybe good for the game as a whole, and like what realistic decisions a large multi-million-dollar company is going to make for their bottom line. Like those are all very different things, and they don't always necessarily line up. As somebody who started playing way back in Revised or something, I like my Magic cards to look like Magic cards and kind of have the high fantasy feel. Like I don't even necessarily like Aether Drift, or I didn't like New Capenna even. I didn't love Neon Dynasty. Aesthetically, like the cards were good, but like aesthetically it doesn't feel like what I expect from Magic.
Yeah, maybe this is my like lesser generation underneath you, but I really like
Neon Dynasty. Neon Dynasty.
That one.
I mean, in the vacuum, it's super cool. I loved everything about it.
But I get what you're saying though. It doesn't feel like
for Magic.
It doesn't feel like Wizards and Elves and
yeah. Legendary jellyfish, baby. That's what I'm all about.
Equipment jellyfish.
But it's also one of those things like just because I have this certain aesthetic I like doesn't mean it's bad that I don't like this thing. Like me not liking doesn't make it a bad thing. And I think it's probably like my response to a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about is it's probably good in the grand scheme of things. I think expanding to different, like, if you're talking about something like Neon Dynasty, going to like that real futuristic Blade Runner-esque tech, that opens up a lot of design options that you can't really do when you're limiting to dwarves and elves and the kind of the Tolkien-esque fantasy. So I think that's probably good for the game, even if I don't really love it aesthetically. I think it opens up doors for them. The UB stuff is the same thing. Like I've played enough games or whatever where the fan base aged out. Like I'm kind of a wrestling nerd actually, and in pro wrestling has a real problem right now. WWE particularly, their ticket prices are so high, and everything is behind a paywall on some level to be able to watch anything.
Yeah,
I don't know how they're going to bring kids into wrestling, and that's who you bring. Like that's who you hook on pro wrestling as kids, and they turn into adults that like go to these events. They are already going to have an issue, and that's going to get worse as prices keep going up. And so I don't want that to happen to Magic either.
Real quick, funny little crossover. Oh yeah, you go first, Luke. Yeah.
I just want to know who's your favorite wrestler. I got to know.
Of my ultimate favorite wrestler currently right now. I'm glad CM Punk's back. I'm still always been a CM Punk fan, and I'm glad to see him back in wrestling. All time, Kurt Angle. My all-time favorite wrestler is Kurt Angle,
huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
Best combination of like in-ring work, great look. He was greater than Mike. He could be scary. He could be hilarious. He could be weird. He took like some great pops, like everything about Kurt Angle, like all around. Kurt Angle's my all-time favorite.
I feel like that's a real true wrestling fan's answer.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Yeah.
So for me, I watched a little bit when I was like middle school, so I was like obsessed with the Undertaker because I was like kind of a wannabe goth kid.
When you're a kid, that's Undertaker's amazing.
Yeah, he's got magical powers.
Yeah.
How can he not be your favorite? I also really liked oh my god, this is just really telling of like the short period of time that I really watched any WWE. But do you remember the Boogeyman?
Yeah,
worms, like smacked his head with an alarm, like a big clock. Fucking love the Boogeyman. He was. I like the weird gimmicky one.
But that's stuff when you're a kid. Like that's how they bring kids in, and like they're gonna have a problem with that because like you need to bring young people in, and I do think some of the UB stuff is going to be helpful for that for Magic.
I will say this is a funny, like, kind of a funny cross pollination here with the other stuff that I record things about, which is Iowa State football. So currently, the Big 12 Conference, which is what Iowa State plays in, has a partnership with the WWE that during a few games this season, between in conference games with Big 12 games, the night before the game they're hosting a WWE event. So last weekend, Iowa State and Cincinnati played. And they hosted a WWE event in Cincinnati the night before. And then during the game on Saturday, they promoted a couple times. Like I couldn't tell you what his name is, but one of the WWE wrestlers went to the University of Cincinnati. So they brought him on the field and they did a little sideline interview and they were kind of promoting So then I believe it's in a few weeks when Iowa State plays BYU of all schools in Ames. I believe there's one the night before in Des Moines.
Okay.
A WWE. So I think that's their attempt to try to
maybe
get some young viewers, which is a kind of a funny little parallel with Magic though, because instead of like trying to find viewers, like at a football game, which is kind of a natural place that you might look for wrestling fans. Now Magic has said, well, we want to grow this game and maybe our in-universe stuff isn't as marketable to young people. Yeah. Well, you know what is? The Avengers.
Right.
Or Avatar or whatever it is, so it's kind of a funny little parallel. Actually, I hadn't really
so at Atlanta they had a Furby area with like this giant Furby, and there was at one point in time I walked past and they had I can't remember what music was playing, but like they had a dance floor with like someone in a Furby costume dancing with a bunch of little kids on this dance floor. And I'm like, that isn't for me. That doesn't do me good. But right, like I have no interest in that.
That's not hot.
That's probably really good for Magic to have like those kids like hooked into this like aspect of Magic where they're like, got some Furby stuff going on. Like that's probably great for the game long term.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm shocked that the Furby thing's not your thing.
Yeah, could be my thing. I haven't tried it out.
But if you have kids, like if your kids are there with you and you brought the kids, like that stuff's great.
Well, and I like that at the MagiCons they regularly have like I think it's like every day almost they have a workshop that's like designed for like parents to bring their 9-year-olds to learn how to play Magic and stuff like that. So I think they've done a good job with that.
Oh yeah.
The question I think that like a lot that I think is I think that Hasbro / WotC has to wrestle with, and that is like kind of really at the center of the large debate is where on the XY plot on the graph is it where we're acquiring enough new players with UB products and things like that to offset maybe some old heads that that no longer want to stick around. So obviously you and us too, and we're still here. So we are tolerating and adapting to the UB stuff, even if we don't love that there is a Megatron card. Even if we don't love it, you just kind of learn to deal with it, and then you just and then you find someone that's playing Slicer and you punch them in the face and then send them and rip their card and throw it out the window. I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on this, because it's how many old people can we piss off before the new people don't matter anymore?
Yeah. So it's one of those things. My attitude also is like, it's number one, it's going to happen. They're doing this already. Right. So I can be mad about it and that will accomplish nothing. And I can punish myself by not playing or quitting or whatever. Or I can just like roll with it. And it's been my experience in the life when things change, even if you don't like them, you're better off just rolling with the changes, because the changes don't care whether you participate or not. They will continue to happen. And I'm not saying just blindly accept everything, but like, this is one of those ones where if I don't love it or love some aspects of it, I love playing Magic. And if that means I see, you know, Doc Ock's henchman on a card, well, it is what it is. I've accepted that. But I think that's a good point. Like there's a line there where at some point though, it becomes, do they risk making Magic not be recognizable with all of these UB products? Right. And I think we are towing that line very precariously right now.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it too is like, do they like, because the like, let's say you got into the game with Lord of the Rings. The game of Magic as you know it is fundamentally different from the game of Magic as we know it, or as you know it, you know, having been around. So like they are two kind of different things. You know, they're two completely different perceptions of like how the game is. You know, someone that came in with Lord of the Rings, you know, they may still be playing it and getting, they bought Final Fantasy, they bought, you know, the Fallout decks, whatever it is. They know a different game. So like, this is more of like a kind of a thought experiment, is like over time, do they not have a game to latch on to because it doesn't have a fundamental identity?
Yes. So right. It's one thing to bring the folks in with Final Fantasy cards or Furby cards or whatever it winds up being. But I think you need to have something once those cards are no longer being sold to keep them hooked. And I think you need some semblance of a coherent and interesting Magic story to keep them engaged. Final Fantasy can bring them in, but they're not going to print a Final Fantasy set every year. So you need something else to keep those players engaged. And that's where I would be worried right now, is they're at risk of not having something interesting or coherent enough to keep those people engaged and hooked once they come in from the Spider-Man set or the Final Fantasy set or the Lord of the Rings or whatever it winds up being.
Well, and I think because part of it too is like the UB sets are mostly kind of like hype driven. It's like, oh, this is the this set, this is the this set. At some point, they're gonna find one that people, well, they found one, Spider-Man. They found Spider-Man, and they said they found it. About one people are just not into, and like I guess I don't know what it's selling like. I mean, I'm sure it's selling some because it's a Marvel product, but you know, they found one that's not. It's pretty much flopping. I've heard of very few people that are like, hell yeah, Spider-Man.
That seems to be the consensus. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my curiosity, is like, do they eventually, you know, with it everything being so hype driven, and like, you know, a person that came in with Lord of the Rings, all they know is a version of Magic that is hype driven. It's like, and if this UB set doesn't hit right, you know, are they just going to check out? And
well, and so I think one of the things we saw from the Spider-Man set too is, you know, the Final Fantasy set, there's a lot of Final Fantasy fans that were super hyped about it, but it was a really good set too. Like just as a Magic set, there's a lot of great cards in it. There's a lot of great, like interesting references to all these games.
Sure.
The time was invested in making that a good set. The Lord of the Rings set, same is true there. Ignoring the one ring being a problem in like other formats.
That set was a labor of love though.
Yeah. Like, absolutely. And even the One Ring, for as problematic as it was, is a super cool card. Cool. It represents the One Ring. Like from a design point of view, amazing. Spider-Man, I think they, for whatever reason, and I'm assuming this wasn't intentional, is a not particularly well-designed set for a couple of reasons. It was supposed to be a very small standalone set, and at the last minute they expanded it. Maybe they just have too many irons in the fire and they couldn't throw the bodies at it they needed for like have the Final Fantasy or whatever. But I think we saw right now, just having the IP isn't enough.
Right.
You need to have the IP and you need to do a good job with it.
Yeah. And that's why I like, even like something that was just the commander decks, like the Fallout decks, like people that like Fallout, like love the Fallout set.
The Warhammer decks.
The Warhammer decks. I mean, the Warhammer decks are so well done. I don't know much about Warhammer, but they're cool. Like those are cool cards.
It made me want to learn about Warhammer.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. And like, I think, and like the Fallout decks, I think made a lot of people like, oh, this is fun. Like maybe I'll grab Fallout 4 or something like that and play that. And and what was great about the Fallout thing is it came out right with the TV series, which, you know, Baldur's Gate should have been that way, but it wasn't. So that's why, like, when you got the Baldur's Gate draft, you're like, who the hell's Lae'zel? And then you play the game, like, oh, that's Lae'zel.
Yeah. I'm still bummed, though, that Wilson isn't in the game. The one commander deck that I built out of it, Wilson isn't there. Where's my
Unless
bear?
he's hidden someplace like in the Druid village that I just never found. But the
I-
one
I-
bear
I-
that I've seen is that's not Wilson.
Yeah,
Every time I've seen a bear in that game, I check the name, and it's
it's not Wilson.
Not Wilson. Maybe he's like hiding somewhere like in the Underdark. Just Wilson's just chilling out.
he's drinking all the potions. That's why he has all the keys.
on your 4th replay through, you find Wilson.
Yeah.
The ultimate dark urge.
He's Wilson's the one running the brain.
There we go. Yeah.
No,
It's actually Wilson's brain.
Well, it's my deck is a Wilson with Cultists of the Absolute. So that for me,
there you go.
I'd be a big fan.
That's got some real like darts like Sith Jar Jar Binks vibes.
Well, again, like background for such a well-developed mechanic that works so well in that in that particular expansion. Spider-Man set, like I feel like they are like, oh, we can't just like wheel out an IP. We have to really do the extra
well,
it's all riding on the Soul Stone or
Well, now they've planted that seed, so now they can keep coming back to it, I guess.
I mean, so the one thing I want to chime in on real quick, I agree with everything Dana's saying. I think for me, I can ignore I talked to Levi about this, even things in my normal life, like shit on my glasses, just things going wrong in my life in general. I'm very good at just tuning out stuff that I just don't want to pay attention to.
Sure.
So I can tune out seeing Doc Ock on a car. I mean, I'd rather not see him, but like if the design is cool, that's great. So I fully agree with all that stuff. I've been trying to find like cards within these sets that I don't have any particular love for the IP, Spider-Man, Fallout, whatever. And I find fun design. I'm like, okay, I don't know who this Shantoto is from Final Fantasy. I thought about building a deck, but it would just be another Voltron deck that I do basically every single time.
Don't need another one of those.
I'm finally coming to realize that I don't need to do 20 of them. But I like some of these. I'm keeping them around. I'm slotting them into things. But the one thing that makes me upset, and I'm not saying anything new or profound, but when they use the IP and they use like a super powerful card, which is of course going to be unique to that set, Soul Stone, One Ring, whatever, and then they use that just to blatantly make money. That's when it sucks.
VV from Final Fantasy.
VV,
like, the most popular
VV.
character.
You gotta sell the packs.
VV.
Yeah,
it sells, and I get it. I understand. Like, and you know the whole One Ring thing with Post Malone and is it Brooks or Brooke? Is that it? Brooks was his name? The fellow who found it. I talked to him.
The guy we talked to at MagiCon Chicago.
I made you guys kind of mad because it was a joke. I swear to God. I'm like, oh, you're the guy
a good one.
And I was like, hey, can I borrow some money?
Straight up, just to his face, just asked him for money.
Okay, I think it was pretty clearly a joke. I met him 5 seconds before I asked him that.
We're all standing there like, Luke, no.
I'm like, no, it's gonna be funny. He laughed.
He did laugh. Probably like, oh my fucking God, get this guy like security, please.
It's clearly a joke. But anyway, the thing that sucks is when they do the mechanically unique stuff that is like just super OP. That's when I roll my eyes at it, where it's like that for me. That's going to be the thing that really kills it for the old heads.
That feels real cynical for sure.
Yeah.
The VV one being the most recent, egregious example.
And then I mean, I think they're going to do that, and I mean, they don't have to, but they kind of do because I was actually, was it just a real quick side tangent, but it's related. So was it last week? I think Seth from the MTG Goldfish podcast did a whole video. He went through Hasbro's quarterly earnings report.
That was
rough. Respect.
Yeah.
But he basically, I mean, he like did the math, and essentially like Magic is the only thing making Hasbro any money now.
Hasbro doesn't exist without Magic.
No, yeah, like Monopoly goes if Magic doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So.
But what about Clue? We had that awesome Clue thing.
Clue.
Yeah, like you thought Magic was 90% of Hasbro's IP. It's like 99% of the money.
Hear me out though. Give me a Secret Lair Monopoly where all the locations are Plane Chase cards.
Or Monopoly that was a Magic multiverse, like for the individual properties stuff on Magic board. It'd be pretty sweet too.
There you go. See?
No, it's just capital. It's just the United States. It's just the real world. The ultimate UB.
Yeah.
UB, the real world. UB 2020.
I'll take UB 2020 over. No, I still want UB Pornhub. I still want UB Pornhub. I want UB Pornhub. That's my.
And here's my turn for a small aside. If either of you two don't know, do a dive sometime on the history of Monopoly. It's really genuinely kind of crazy. The original game, it was called the Landlords game, and it was a very anti-capitalism game.
Yeah, because it came out during the Great Depression, right?
Yeah. And the version of it we have today is like the opposite of the intent of the
total
game.
opposite. Yeah.
Like it was supposed to teach you how bad capitalism is, and that's not how it worked out.
And everyone's like, capitalism game.
Which is
that's what
over. I can be rich, huh?
And that's basically what Hasbro's doing. They're like, we money.
Yeah.
But I mean, the moral of that story though is that Hasbro basically needs all of these to hit and sell.
Yep.
But there's an interesting kind of parallel too, where we were talking about where they like new players need to have a thread to keep coming back to.
Sure. Yeah.
But even Marvel did this because they had all the side characters, you had the different Captain America movies, and you had Iron Man movies and Thor and all these. But in the end, the central thread was always the Avengers series and how it would tie back into their main thread line. So even Marvel knew that, like, sure, we might grab somebody new with Thor, but we need to tie this back into the main thing.
Right.
But there's a natural tie-in back there with characters. There's not a natural tie-in from Spider-Man back into in-universe magic stuff. That's the quandary.
But what about the Through the Omen Paths digital set? That's the tie-in, baby.
Oh,
Fleam will save us.
Look, man, I listened to Spice 8-Rack's thing about it. He did a one of his video essays on just comparing and contrasting like the real cards versus the Omen Path thing or whatever. Yeah. I don't hate the idea of doing like an Omen Path thing for like people who don't want to fucking see Spider-Man. Like, well,
the real mess with that is that you have the same set in two different platforms that have different, the cards are completely different. So if you want to grind and train for a standard tournament on Arena, you have to just remember what the cards are on the other side. That's real bad.
Well, I think they've abandoned the idea that like Arena is going to be a way for new players to come in and play. I think they this is just that's not happening.
Well, I don't.
If they put Commander on there, why wouldn't it? Could
it blows my mind that they didn't, because every previous digital client they've ever had supported 4 players, but they're like, well, this can't possibly do 4 players. Like, I played an Xbox 360 game 15 years ago that had 2-headed giant.
The technology it's just not there.
It's just not possible.
That's some space age shit, man. We can't do that.
But I think they are using Arena as an attempt to get people engaged with Standard again, because the nice thing with Arena on Standard is that VV is the same number of wild cards as another as a bulk rare or something like that. So like that's the appeal, is that a VV deck on Arena is not $1,000 like it is in real life. It's at 800, I think. Like the actual cost of that VV Cauldron deck is like $850 if you want to run the deck list that won the Pro Tour. It's like $10 in wild cards if you're just paying for them. So that's kind of the appeal, and unfortunately, that is also what's taking away from Standard at LGSs now, is because why would I buy a paper deck when I can just go grind Standard and games take 5 minutes versus doing that type of thing? Which that's a whole other issue that Wizards they've decided to try to fix that problem, and then they fixed it for about 30 seconds and then just kind of walked away. It's kind of like, Dana, when was the last time you played Standard?
Man, it's been years. I just haven't. I don't have the pay. Yeah, it changes too quickly. I can never remember. Like once upon a time, I knew exactly when every set rotated. I knew how much longer, how long I had to keep an eye on these sets. Okay, this is going to be in Standard for this many years. There was only 6 sets, 8 sets in Standard at a time at most.
Yeah, it was 2 blocks, I think, right?
Yeah, so you could mentally very easily keep track of all of that. I have no idea how you would maintain all of that without a spreadsheet kind of these days. So I just don't participate in it. And I was never like a super hardcore player, but like I usually had a Standard deck. I think the last one I had was Shadows over Innistrad-ish era, and it's been since then I've stopped because that's when it started expanding and in the day started moving. And I'm like, I just don't want to. It's not worth me messing with this to keep track of all of it.
Well, and that format's kind of got a whole mess with it too. Like so,
Sure.
I back in early May, I played in a regional qualifier for Standard up in Minneapolis, and that was a whole mess itself. That's kind of my own fault, but it was fun getting back into the Standard grind, because the RCQ that I won was for Bloomborough, and I went with Boros Mice, and it was fun. Then I did something kind of similar as a mobilized deck, whatever. But then after that, I kind of just dipped out for a second, taking a break from Standard because I've been grinding Standard for basically like 6-8 months at that point, just every day playing like 20 or 30 games.
Sure.
And then I got going into it, and then Final Fantasy came out, and VV takes over everything, and they just kind of sit on it, and they are still sitting on VV Cauldron until the beginning of November, and that was such a turnoff for me. Is like I don't want stuff's in Standard for 3 years now. Like when I was. Put it this way, here's some perspective, is that the RCQ that I played in with still had cards from March of the Machine legal in it.
Which feels like it was 5 years ago.
I mean, it feels forever.
The amount of sets, at least, between now and then was once upon a time would have been 5 years ago.
Right.
I really enjoyed that run, though. Those last couple of runs. That was good.
I agree.
Yeah. I tell you, March of the Machine, not so secret banger of a set. I loved March of the Machine.
Oh yeah, that was also when I was on my streak where like it's rare that I buy packs, like extremely rare. I'm a proud proxy boy, but I would buy just like a little guilty pleasure pack, like a little impulse pack, and I pull like a $20 card, $30 card, $10 card. And I'm like, my rule is if I pull a card, if I don't make any money, because of course I'm not making money, but you know what I mean. If I don't make my money back with the pack, then I'm done. And I got like 20, no, maybe not 20, but like 10, 15 packs, and I got like banger cards. So I don't know.
It's actually an all right little transition because when the Praetors were announced, they were like super pushed. Yeah. And like for like design wise, they're really, really powerful. And because I bought one box of March of the Machine and I pulled like 7 Praetors, like 7 unique Praetors in that box. So I was like, I'll make a Praetors deck, and played it like 3 times, and absolutely nobody had fun playing against it. So I was like, you know what? We're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah. So, it doesn't help that you were fueled by that group hug deck too, to really put it on steroids.
Yeah, the group hug deck made my Praetor deck go a lot faster, and everyone else got pissy at me.
Not me. I wasn't there.
Yeah. Nope, yeah. But so obviously part of your deal on like EDH Rack too is like you've got all these old cards that you slap them in there because you just have this knowledge of these old ones that just kind of weirdly fit places. When you see these cards come out for these sets that are pushed VV or the One Ring or whatever it is, how do you balance taking some of those newer cards that are objectively, sometimes they're just strictly better than a previous version of it, or they're powerful. How do you find balance in there? It's like, oh, this is a fun new card, or versus just going with something that's feels more like Magic to you, or just how do you find that balance, I guess?
Yeah, so I intentionally work to like have to have a workaround for that. So at one point in time, I wanted to build an equipment deck. I had a handful of like the Judge Foil swords, and I'm like, I got these swords, they look awesome. And then in the old border Judge Foil, I wanted to build an equipment deck. So I intentionally built an Azorius equipment deck versus a Boros equipment deck. Yeah. And one of the advantages that gives me is every time a new like commander that comes out in Boros colors that interacts with equipment in some way, shape, or form, and we get one every set, it feels like, or a couple cards. Well, I can ignore those because they don't like go in my deck. So I intentionally have a list that like I have to look in different directions for the cards that support it. And I still get plenty of stuff. We'll still get like a random, Azorius card that has Metalcraft or something, or Affinity. Yeah. We had a draw spell a year or so ago. I might have even been in Final Fantasy that had Affinity for artifacts. Oh, okay, perfect for that deck. It was like 7 mana. I forget what it was even called.
Is that maybe an Aether Drift or something?
Might have been Aether Drift, yeah. So hey, well that's perfect for that deck because I'm gonna have a bunch of equipment out, so I can like it's a 2 mana, draw 3 or whatever it winds up being. But so by brewing that way, I intentionally just like get to not have to pay attention to a bunch of those kind of cards. But if I didn't, man, I don't know. Like if you were strictly building based on power, like if you were building Boros equipment, your deck would like be all cards from the last 3 years, probably. More or less.
And Colossus
Hammer. Yeah. Colossus Hammer, Stoneforge Mystic, maybe. Like you'd have a couple of ones. Like, those aren't that old in the grand scheme of things.
Azorius equipment, baby. Yeah, right there.
There you go.
You'd have a couple of the old ones that are like clearly still pretty broken in Commander. Yeah. But but you're right though, is that like and right now, like new players getting in, I'll just use Lord of the Rings as the jumping in point, since I think that's when like a lot of people jumped in on Lord of the Rings. If that was the last time, if that was when you jumped into Magic, your universe within the game really only exists there. So if you're going to build a new deck, you're pretty much going to build with cards that came out since you started playing for the most part. I mean, you might use EDH Rack or Scryfall or whatever else to find other stuff that's older, but for the most part, you're going to find stuff that has come out since you got into the game. And I think that, I think there's a tricky balance there too, with it creates some level of homogeneity in there when you have a big wave of people come in and, they just build what they know. So like you've got people that came in for Final Fantasy and all they ever build is Final Fantasy stuff. Or I know Luke and I have a friend that like pretty much all he builds is Lord of the Rings decks. And that is it, which if that's your flavor, then go, if that's your flavor, then go for it. But, I know like one of the, when Jason and I were doing our Sunday night stream, part of what we always did was we tried to specifically avoid staples, not necessarily avoid new cards, but find interesting creative solutions to new kind of different deck building problems. And I guess, I don't know if you like noticed it at MagiCon or just in general at your LGS, do you think new players are being as adventurous as they maybe should be to create a diverse and fun environment?
I don't think they are, but I don't think it's their fault necessarily. So when we go back to like when I had left Magic for quite a few years and I came back roughly when you guys did return to Ravnica-ish. So, okay, let's say a new commander comes out in, Gate Crash and, or whatever. And you're like, oh, I like this one about this deck. I'm going to look back through the last 20 sets and find any cards that work in this commander. Well, that might take you back to Apocalypse or like, Stronghold or something like literally the last 20 sets might have taken you back that far.
Sure.
If you crack, Doc Ock from the new Spider-Man set, you're like, oh, this is sweet. I want to build this deck. I'm going to go back and look at the last 20 sets worth of cards. That's going to take you back 3 years, 2 years, maybe
yeah.
So while I don't think they're being as adventurous, I think that like the reality is the amount of stuff they have to dig through to find cool cards is a much more monumental task than it was when we were doing the same thing back in Return to Ravnica.
It's a much denser card pool. Yeah.
Like there's just so much more work to do to find those cards versus when we were doing it.
And not even just like draft chapped either. Like there's a lot of just quality cards.
Yes. Right. A lot of those sets were genuinely like, okay, there's like 3 good cards in, core set 2013 or something, right?
Yeah.
Gate Crash isn't the best. Like there was a lot more like real soft sets back then too.
Let me tell you one though here, Dana. This is a very pro Gate Crash podcast here. This was like the first draft we ever did. The first Magic deck I ever drafted or built was a Gruul Blood Rush deck, and it was
Blood Rush was such a good mechanic.
Blood Rush is fun to play. We are absolute we are suckers for Blood Rush and Cypher.
Easily, I have a Cypher deck. I built a Cypher deck.
So I don't know if I ever played it. I don't know if I've played you with it, Dana, or not. But I have a 4-color deck that is Blood Rush and Cypher just just slapped together, and it's a great time.
It works.
It does work. It works. It works.
And
I just think it's one of those things. Like I just think it's unavoidable. You can't, because one of the things I did remember when I came back, I started digging through. I just read sets. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna look at every card in, Lorwyn. Well, I could go back through and like read a set a day or something for like 3 weeks and like be kind of caught up. Like you could,
right?
You would it would take you months to do that. Today, I just don't think it's something you'd want. Most people would even attempt to do. There's so much stuff to go through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm coming from a little bit of a biased standpoint with having done those Sunday night streams where we were intentionally making like weird decks. But it did get like there's been times where like it's been like a little frustrating when I see like a newer player. There's 2 kinds of newer players that I've run into. Ones that are like, they see an old card that's kind of that like works perfectly, but maybe it came out during, the original Tarkir block or something like that, where it's a while. And they say, whoa, this is really cool. And like, they're like opening up, like there's like a kid opening up a Christmas present every time they find a new card. We have our buddy Carl. Like every time Carl stumbles upon a new card that like came out before he got into Magic.
Fairly new. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because he's been playing for a couple years now. Like just before Bloomborough maybe. But every time he stumbles upon a cool new card, he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever! This is amazing!" And then you have other new players that like they like what they like, and they're not curious about older cards. And I don't know. I find that frustrating, I guess, is like
I do too. But on the other hand, I'm like, but I don't want you to, if you don't enjoy doing that, like, who am I to judge too? But I absolutely agree. I'm like, this is one of the most fun parts of the game. How can you not find it fun? That's baffling to me.
Yeah.
But I don't want to judge somebody for that either at the same time,
Yeah. Like I can't blame them for not wanting to, like, let's say if you were introducing your kid to, let's say you're big into the NBA, you're introducing your kid into the NBA and they learn all the current players and all this stuff. And it's really exciting. Can you really expect them to go back and watch Larry Bird film? Like,
right.
Not really. Like, I mean, they might eventually, but that's not a realistic expectation.
Best quote from Space Jam: "Larry isn't white. Larry is clear."
So I don't know.
The nature of exploration changes in things like this too. I always think of, so when World of Warcraft first came out, which is what, 25 years ago now or something.
Yeah.
The first clear of the first raid, which was Molten Core, took like 170 days or something, I think, from release until like Ragnaros died for the first time was like 170 days. When they released Classic 4 or 5 years ago, I think it was 6 years ago, whatever, the first Ragnaros kill was in hours, like 72 hours. I can't remember what it was. Like, people leveled all the way up and like a raid went in and killed Ragnaros in like a week. I mean, like, you can measure it in hours, just because like once something exists, knowledge is out there, and that genie doesn't go back in the bottle. There was no EDH rec once upon a time. So you'd search through and you'd find cards that like your friends hadn't seen for a deck. Well, for the most part now, like, that's going to show up in EDH rec. You're going to find those cards. Like, tools exist to make that Ragnaros kill happen, in 1% of the time it did years ago. Tools exist for people to build those decks, so the sense of discovery, I think, is gone, and that's sad, but like that happens in everything. I don't know how playing through Hollow Knight the first time when there's no walkthroughs in existence versus playing through Hollow Knight now where everyone knows everything. It's just a whole different deal. And that's just how these things work.
There's two quick things I want to bring up. First, bringing up the old Sunday night streams, Levi and Jason never did any of the mono blue commanders that I suggested. So
every time you brought up a mono blue, we were like, "Fuck you, Luke, we're not doing that."
Yeah. I'm like, one of these days they're gonna do it, and then
never did.
But the one thing I want to tail off what you were saying there, Dana. Like, that was the thing I was struggling with for a really long time. And it's also just kind of how, like, let's say for the longest time I would see a commander and say, I want to build a deck around that commander, and it kind of gets to the point. I think some commanders are worse than others. Like,
for sure.
Shrines, certain commanders are like straight up like the overlap of all the other decks that are like that. It's going to be. It's not going to be so. Deck, it's not so much going to be a Venn diagram. It's just going to be a.
There is a shrine deck.
Exactly, and I ran shrine. I actually really liked doing shrines, and then when I looked around, I'm like, oh damn, this is exactly the same as every other shrine deck.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, this is for. I mean, again, the disclosure, if that's your thing, cool.
Sure. Yep.
Shrine it up, baby. Get you shrine pervert, go with it. But I got bored with it. So now I with this new concept that I'm trying to work with. I'm sure other people have gotten to this like revelation well before I have, but I'm more in the realm of finding like a card that I kind of become like obsessed with, and then building a deck around that. Where I shoehorn Jester's Mask, which you knew was from Ice Age, which is congratulations. I wouldn't be able to pull that, but now I'm more like, I'm going to find a wacky card like Jester's Mask, and then now I'm trying to search like what commanders would fit what I'm trying to do with Jester's Mask.
How can I make this card good? Sure.
Yeah, exactly. How can I make this thing be like the deck? And like, do you want it to be like good, or do you want to be kind of a meme? Mine's maybe a little combo of both. For everybody wondering, because I know everybody's wondering, I chose Mishra, Tamer of Haktua, or whatever the fuck it is. It's Mishra, Tamer of Makfua, or something. It's legit something like that.
Yeah.
That's his name. It's Mishra.
It's close.
Tamer.
You're not that far off.
It's not as far off as it should be.
It's one of the 4 Mishras they gave us within like a week or whatever it was. So, but yeah, that's why I'm trying. That's why I'm trying to maintain my relationship with Commander, because like there's a lot of things with Commander. The more I play it, and the more I've just been around with everything, the more things just kind of piss me off, and I feel like a curmudgeon old man. But I want to enjoy it so much. So now it's not so much like I will swallow some of the cards that I don't like for sure, but some of it is trying to find a new way to engage with deck building that makes me happy versus just like I play shrines, because I'll get super bored really fast.
Well, in one thing I think it's important to remember is like us who are content creators who are engaged with the game at this level.
Us is doing a lot of work there, Dana.
Yeah.
if we are included in us, that is
no, but like
there's 1/3 of a content creator here.
If you're doing anything like Magic related, you are in like this, you are engaged more than 99% of the people,
right? Yeah,
and so it's I think important to remember that take some perspective there. The things we know and the things that seem like a deep dive on a card for us aren't the same thing as like the average person who's like, oh, I found this cool card from 2 years ago. Like for them, that feels like maybe they get that sense of discovery off of that in a way that like we absolutely wouldn't. Because like it's 2 years ago. What are you talking about?
You're not wrong.
But for them and for people that like don't live and breathe this stuff and think about it obsessively like a bunch of weirdos, like a lot of us are. Like for them, like that is a deep dive. Like my friends don't know anything from 2 years ago. I found this card from 2 years ago. It's going to blow their minds. Like so, I think there is some of that. It's just we who like just spend all of our time or way too much of our time, at least like talking about this stuff, have lost the perspective, realistically, I get why that happens, but so it's important, I think, to maintain that frame of reference too.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. At one point I was excited to play Shrines. I was like one of my favorite decks for a long time, maybe not a long time. Maybe the half-life for me was a little shorter than someone who like just started at that point. But there was like a good couple months where like Shrines was like my favorite deck for a while.
Like I remember the first time I found found those Shrines, I was like, oh, the blue Shrine, well, that's like a blue Phyrexian Arena. That's not terrible, even like by itself in a deck.
Oh yeah,
compared because there just wasn't a lot of other things for like draw engines in blue that like were a permanent that was in play that always drew you a card. Like,
I even see people throw in Sanctum of Stonefangs into decks that are not even Shrine decks because they're just getting.
I do that.
It just pings people or
just a good card. Yeah,
lost life for damage. What it's black, so probably lost life, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's lose life.
Yeah,
but I lost my train of thought. I had a point there. I was
all over the place here. So
I pulled up EDH Rec off to the side and one of the first things that came up to me, I was looking at this card was Ezio Blade of Vengeance from the Assassin's Creed set, and which this brings me to my thing. So like one of the things that people say about like UB is like everyone hates UB until they put out a set that you really like.
Right.
Have you found a set that you really liked yet? If you found a set like, you know what, I get it. This is you. Like I understand. This is my UB set.
I grew up a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so that was one to a degree, but like not one that necessarily where I'm like, oh, this is like the most like there's some Doctor Who fans I've known that like lost their goddamn minds over Doctor Who cards.
I've pretended that set doesn't exist.
Well, it doesn't do much for me. Like, number one, it's kind of parasitic, and it doesn't do anything for me. But like, I've known enough people that were like so enraptured by the fact that they could play Doctor Who cards.
Did they like the flavor on the card? Like, did they feel the flavor card on the cards was good?
Oh, this reference is my favorite episode of all time, and I'm like, oh, okay, sure, cool, good for you. So no, I have not had one though that really like hit me and like tugged those heartstrings for me necessarally yet.
Do you think there is one?
I don't know. I'm
like, assuming that they do a great job with it, they nail it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what my favorite one. So my favorite, I don't think they would ever do this. My favorite series of fantasy books is a series called the Malazan Book of the Fallen.
Oh, you're a Malazan boy?
Yeah, I love Malazan.
Dude, I tried reading the first book twice. I couldn't.
The first book is the worst in the series too. That's the worst part about it. The first book is
none of it made any fucking sense. I didn't understand anything I was reading. Not a single word.
It's kind of a train wreck like that all the way through. Like you have to just write.
I was hoping we were going to bring up books because I was gonna. I feel like you're a book guy. I was going to ask you what your preferences were. But yeah, Malazan. Damn, that's like.
So I would recommend if you can go through by the second book, you will get deeply hooked. There's a lot of moments. There's a moment in every book afterwards where like it's like a kick to the gut where I would have to like put the book down and walk away because it was like an emotional gut punch. But the first book doesn't have one of those necessarily, and it's also much more chaotic and difficult. Like you're just dropped into the deep end of the pool.
Fever dream.
Yeah, absolutely. So I understand where you're coming from. But I think that would be one that would absolutely hook me that I would like just fall in love with. I'm a big Game of Thrones, like Song of Fire and Ice, those books.
That's for me.
Despite how badly the show ended, I really think a Game of Thrones set would probably actually be really cool.
It could be so fucking good. They really could do it.
And
then
like
George will release the other books, and we'll all be happy.
But yeah, so like that series, I even like listen to like YouTube channels where dudes do crazy like lore deep dives on.
Dude, I was into that, man.
Yeah.
I listened to like David Lightbringer.
That's who I was thinking of.
Dude, I was listening to. I was subscribing to some of his. Sorry, we're going way off.
Yeah.
I was subscribing to his whole like second moon crashing and causing. That's what. I subscribed to all that. Yeah.
Like it's like him and like three. Like, what did he say? It's me and three guys with serious autism that are just like going and that's he's not wrong. That's what it is. But like I dig that stuff. So like that might be one that would hook me too. Particularly if it was book based and they really delved into some of that deep lore stuff from the books.
My true UB, the one that would be my actual white whale, but I know it would. There's literally no possibility of it ever happening. Would be like a Stephen King, but focus on a Dark Tower.
Oh, that would be super sweet.
I'm a huge Dark Tower head. That's my favorite series of books. It was A Song of Ice and Fire until like I read. I mean, keep in mind, Dark Tower is not perfect, but like it's finished, so it's got that over.
Yes.
So yeah, if they did Dark Tower or like Stephen King, I would lose my shit.
Regular Stephen King universe would be amazing if you just had like
they genuinely could. I mean, or they could do like reskins. I'm cool with reskins too.
Yeah.
But the one that's actually within the realm of possibility is A Song of Ice and Fire. And if they did that justice, it would be so fucking good.
Yeah.
Originally, I was very out on the idea of a Star Wars set. Then when Luke and I were like driving around like last week and accidentally kind of talked ourselves into it. Like I love the idea of like give me like Rakdos Jar Jar. And because we were talking about like Selesnya Jar Jar that acts like a brash taunter that just keeps reflecting damage randomly,
or maybe he can like flip into like the Sith.
He can flip into Sith Jar Jar and stuff like that.
It's funny what stuff will like change your mind on something. I was not super into Edge of Eternities going into it for the reasons I said before. It didn't feel like Magic, and I was like, space. I don't really need to see a Magic set in space. For that set, the thing that turned me around, the art, there is so much like
gorgeous,
really amazing art in this set that completely turned me around on it. So
and I was excited for the set because space is my shit. Space is my shit.
I was also got not as much of it with like fantasy and horror, but I've read a fair amount of sci-fi. Like, do you know Dan Simmons at all?
Yeah.
I was a big Dan Simmons head, so like I was kind of right on. I was totally okay with Edge of Eternities.
I just finished reading. Was it Summer of Night?
Dude, Summer of Night. It's so it's it at home.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
I love Summer of Night.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah. The art for Edge of Eternities was awesome. And I hope they can, I will say not the one thing I shouldn't say, but my personal like thing where like collector boosters annoy me as a product. Like I understand their utility within the game and how they give some collector value and theoretically lower prices on normal versions of cards, but maybe. But what they have done though is them creating a bunch of versions of the same card has produced some like really exceptionally like beautiful cards. Some of them they take risks with those, which I appreciate because like there's some of them that just don't land that great.
Sure.
Like I was not a big fan of like the oil slick lands from Pararex. Like that's not my speed. I mean, some people like them, but
cool.
like now doing full art lands for basically everything now. Like I know you said you're not a big Kamigawa fan, but the full art lands from like Neon Dynasty I thought were awesome.
Well, like imagine if you had like a Thantis, the Warweaver Spider deck. Those Spider-Man basic lands with the webs.
Yeah.
How amazing would that be for like your Thantis deck or something?
So that's like a thing I can appreciate about
absolutely
about new Magic is that all the cool art they do. Now hopefully they keep getting art from like people.
Right.
Which I don't know how close we are to being on danger territory of that, but I feel like it's I don't know.
Man, yeah.
They get so much flack when they get caught with
Well, that's what I was gonna say is like I think if they ever did and people figured it out, I think there would be an uprising.
Yeah. People have a pretty good eye for it. I think. Like Magic has so many eyes on it.
Anyways.
Yeah. Well, I understand it. There's a lot of eyes on the product, and a lot of people are smart, and
particularly on cards because they have to name the artist.
Yeah.
Like there's also that tag too. Like, who is this? Why are all these lands not credit to anybody?
If it had like a fake name on it, like people people would pick up on that
Yeah.
pretty fast.
I love the idea of them putting artist Penman.
It's so crazy too, like because like for example, the community being able to spot like, oh, this artist on this card lifted this piece of artwork from this thing from 1972. Like people find that stuff.
They will find it. Yeah,
I'm so glad that people do. They need to have their feet held.
They call them out on their shit. Yeah.
Yes. Like I will support the product. You keep making good product. That's fine. But like, just, there's the laundry list of all the bad things that it's just, they need to get scolded every once in a while.
They need to reprint Treble in pairs with new art. So that one, the card becomes less expensive, and two, so it has new art. Because it's a cool card that does a lot of shit, but like it's way too expensive right now. But but anyway, the reason I asked you that question is because Assassin's Creed is actually weirdly my set that I was like, you know what?
Okay.
So I understand I am the only person on this planet that enjoyed the Assassin's Creed cards. I get it.
I like some.
And I wish,
there's useful cards in there.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, not the cards. I appreciated like the flavor. Like that was my UB set. And
I had no emotional connection to that.
You're right. Yeah. And I'm like the only one that was like Assassin's Creed. Hell yeah.
Levi was boned up for Assassin's Creed.
I was like, big time. And
I was half-assed.
The flavor on the cards was really cool. I think they'd like. I was disappointed that they just did that weird little like mini set like they did with Aftermath, which I think Aftermath and Assassin's Creed, like the way those two things kind of flopped, were like that's what I think that's why Spider-Man ended up half baked. Like, I think they were trying to make it a mini set like Aftermath or Assassin's Creed. If they had done a full set of Assassin's Creed and really did it right, I think people would look at that set a lot more fondly. But Assassin's Creed was my set. That was I have an Edward Kenway Pirates and Ships deck that as soon as I built that deck, I was like, I get it. And I'm out there, Edward Kenway. I've got all my pirates, and I made sure all the vehicles in that thing are ships. They're pirate ships. So like it's canonically as close as I can get it, type of thing. So like I'm out there and I'm crewing ships with pirates, and like, son of a bitch, this is awesome. And so
the Final Fantasy set, and I've played quite a few of those games, made me go back and because they had like a cheap bundle on the Switch, and I actually started at 1 and played 1 through 4, and then Silk Song came out and I got distracted by that. But like my goal, I'm gonna try to play them all through up through 10 at least, play in order 1 through 10, and I'm up to 4. And I'm so glad that like it inspired me to go back and play, because even those old NES Final Fantasy games are really fun, surprisingly. So I'm glad it made me want to go back and do those.
Yeah. And I had an Xbox growing up, so I never got to play Final
Probably
Fantasy.
A little before your time, yeah.
But even like the good, like Final Fantasy 7 came out like while I would have been like the age to play it. But just I never had a PlayStation, so I never got to play it.
Yeah.
So like I had no connection at all to Final Fantasy. I think I did what I think your general advice to somebody that doesn't like an IP would do is I kind of just checked out and I was like, that's not for me. That's fine. Luckily, I'm entrenched enough that like I'm gonna keep paying attention to new sets. And Edge of Eternities was awesome. That was my shit. Like that was always gonna draw me back in. Avatar, I like as a series. I don't know how I feel about the cards, but man, they're fine. The one I actually keep hearing about next year is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I don't know how that's gonna go or not, but
what about dude? All right, I will admit, Star Trek kind of pissed me off. Like, who the fuck is asking for Star Trek? Like, I know people like it out there, and if you do, that's cool. But like that one's just, oh my god, I don't know. That one, I'm like,
looks like a mix of like all the Star Treks versus just original series,
there's so much like backstory and lore. Like there's so much content to pull from with Star Trek. Like I don't even know how you would go about figuring it out.
I've seen people make the joke that it's like they can't afford Star Wars yet, so they got Star Trek. It's like, yeah, I guess.
Well, it's funny because like I know Star Trek's fan base is massive. I know it is.
Yeah.
I cannot say I've actually ever met a Trekkie. I don't a how I've managed to avoid. Like at least I don't know that I've met. Like I've never met one that was like outwardly a Trekkie. Or like
recently, we were a couple people were having dinner at a thing, and Anna Margaret, the cosplayer. Is an absolute Star Trek nerd. Like she's like, I've seen every episode of every single show. She's like, the original series my dad and I watched 6 times when I was growing up from start to back. So like she was super hyped for it.
So she's excited for Star Trek.
She is so excited about Star Trek. So like there's probably plenty of those people out there who are just like it's their version of what Assassin's Creed was.
Sure, yeah.
I am not one of them, but they do exist.
Nor am I. But
it's like I'm not gonna hate on you loving Star Trek. I'm just I just don't give a shit.
I have no connection either.
And that I think that's what I've been trying to kind of tell myself going forward to is like, just like it's okay that this thing doesn't register for me.
Mhm.
You know, even Final Fantasy, I don't really have as much of a problem with necessarily. Spider-Man, I do not. I kind of almost like actively don't want to engage with it because I just that's I guess that's my version of voting with my wallet. I guess is I don't want to encourage them to keep doing sets like that,
particularly when they're not well done.
Right. Well done. Yeah, I don't want to reward them for half-assing a set, basically.
Yeah. Now, one thing I also like try to maintain perspective on is we remember the great beats of the Magic storyline over the years. There's a lot of real weak Magic storyline too that I remember complaining about, like, oh, we beat Ulamog via the power of friendship. or the Eldrazi set, and then we go to Innistrad, like, what's the bad guy going to be? Eldrazi again.
Again.
Cool.
3 sets in a row.
Yeah. It's not like in-universe sets have been infallible.
Right, yeah.
Like there's been plenty of terrible in-universe sets, but
so maybe by doing less of them, they will focus. They can condense that story. It's kind of the situation where, like, when we used to get a TV show that went 24 episodes a season, there was a whole lot of filler, and now you can condense it down to like a really tight 12 or something. So maybe we'll get more. Maybe that'll work better in terms of storyline. Who knows?
I was there in the trenches of Supernatural. All the filler episodes.
The Supernatural is the one.
I have watched all 15. There's 16 seasons, 15 seasons. I watched all.
I didn't watch all that.
I did. I have watched all of them to the end. I feel like because it dove off after 5 a little bit.
Yeah.
And that I thought that the last couple seasons were actually pretty good.
There's no way. That's not.
I was not thrilled with the end of it. But but I thought that the last 3 seasons or so were pretty decent, and the last season was very much like a return to the old Supernatural.
You were just so invested. I've been watching this for so long.
At this point, it's I'm not quitting.
No, there was definitely that factor. I've been with this so long, I can't let it go now.
Yeah, now it's just a part of me.
I watched it up to season 7, and then while I was on the air, because I was watching it actively as I was on the air, and then it hit season 7. I was so pissed. I'm like,
7's bad. Seven's
Leviathans.
It was Leviathans. It was so bad. I quit it.
That was a terrible storyline.
It made me quit. It used to be my favorite show.
You know what?
Me and my brother.
Give me a Supernatural UB.
I would. Oh, so I would be into that.
UB.
I would be into that for sure.
Even just a reskin, do some fucking Innistrad reskins.
They could. Well, they could easily reskin the Negan card from Walking Dead as Dean. I think.
Should we have a UB alternate IP reskinned with a different IP?
And I'd like to see more of the Secret Lair style UBs where you just get six cool cards with your characters. No filler.
That's what Furby's fine.
Right.
SpongeBob, Furby. I don't give a shit.
Who gives a shit? It's just flavor. Yeah. Well, the one thing that's, and I know we're running up on time here, but the one thing that I've always wondered, because I know there's the list, which is the big thing that pisses a lot of finance bros off or whatever, or they like the list, right? They like the list.
They like the list.
Yeah. We're keeping it for the finance bros. Hooray for them! But with some of this UB stuff, they're kind of just making more cards that are never going to be printed again, right? Because they're never going to be. They're never going to be able to print off they're not just going to rebuy the rights for Warhammer.
We thought that with Lord of the Rings, and then they said, "Well, we're just going to make a Hobbit set."
Well, true, but they're never going to reprint Warhammer. They're never going to reprint.
And there's only so many slots, right? Right now, every time we get one of those Secret Lairs, the Sonic one, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, maybe they can print that again next year or something, or put it in the list or whatever. But there's only so many slots in the list. There's only so many places for them to reprint those cards. And the more cards they print every year, and the more sets that come out, the more difficult it is to reprint some of this stuff too. So there's this weird situation where they just can't reprint the cards.
It's extra lists, just kind of floating around. And it's
you could avoid that whole thing if they would just keep printing the secretly, instead of just doing a limited run of the why is there only 5,000 copies of the Sonic Secret Lair? If they just kept printing it on to order in perpetuity, then it doesn't matter. You
Right.
never need to reprint it because it's always being printed. It's always available. So
it's just
the secret layer limited runs are that.
To me, it's just strange how there's like these weird little like pseudo lists floating around, like sliced up into different IPs.
Yeah.
And then at one point, I know they promised they were going to make universes within for like all of them, but like they're definitely not going to do that. There's no
they can't now. There's just too many cards.
No way. It's not possible. I know they were trying for a bit. Like every once in a while, I'd open up a pack and I'd be like, "What the fuck is this thing?" And it was like the one guy riding the ox that can like block a. What does it do? It can like. It's from I think it was like a Street Fighter, like
I think so.
Oh yeah,
and then there was like the spinny guy. I got like the universes within of the spinny electric guy. I'm like, what is this yucky card? I don't know what this is. It's like a universes within of the spinny guy from Street Fighter. They're not doing that anymore. No way.
Yeah, they can't. They just can't.
They can't. It's not possible. So
yeah. Do we want to? We're I don't want to keep Dana here for an hour. I mean, we did tell him he's now a permanent member. He just has to be here. But
right, I got
but let's do a game of Randy Commandy. So if anybody is not familiar with this game, basically we pull up a random commander. We either shit on it if it sucks, or we start talking about fun ways to do things we can do it. So here is Randy Commandy. Okay, first up.
Guess how many takes it took me to do that on my melodica?
One and done.
Technically speaking, the recording he did was a lot slower, and I double speeded it.
Oh, you did do that, didn't you? I forgot.
But it's a funny little deal. So I'll go up first here, and you guys can just tell me what you end up pulling up, and I'll pull it up here. We can pull this up, and get this. Okay, so this is Bilbo Birthday Celebrant.
Hey,
abs and 2/3. If you gain life, gain that much life +1 instead. You can pay 2 white, black, and green. You can exile them, search your library for any number of creature cards, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Activate only if you have 111 or more life. This is the kind of goofy UB stuff I love. Like it's super flavorful.
Big Bilbo fan.
It's really fun to pull off, which I have actually pulled this off once because if you remember, I made a Bilbo Birthday Celebrant.
And I helped
for our buddy.
I helped.
You put in about 2 of the 99, but you did. Your name is on the credits. But I have pulled this off once, and it was extremely satisfying. I slapped out all the ents. It was great. To me, this type of card is exactly what I want to see in a UB set. It's not overpowered, but it's fun. It's flavorful. It's got a big splashy effect. To me, this is like the model for like a great UB commander that isn't just ruining everything.
Yeah, I like that design for sure. It feels a little bit open-ended. You can be a little bit creative with it. That's what I like to see in a card like that.
Yeah, there's lots of options you can go there, Tim. I mean, you can just go straight, like lean into life gain. Like you're like mostly white life gain and then dump out a few big black and green creatures. Or like I said, I built it for a friend of mine with just Lord of the Rings stuff. So it was like March of the Ents, and it was the Ents, and it had the Hobbits, and like it was specifically geared to be themed around the world. So it was like all the good guys in this deck kind of thing. And I was pretty happy with it. So it's a fun card. I love when they make stuff like this. That feels, and it feels like, because the 111 is obviously significant to Bilbo, so it's
right.
So like that's the kind of thing I like.
Real quick, funny story about Bilbo. My brother once made my dad, who's just kind of like a grumpy farmer type. He once had my dad try to read him The Hobbit. It might have been the first. No, it was the first Lord of the Rings. It was the Fellowship. He was trying to get my dad to read the Fellowship. He got to the first page and he's like, I forget what the wording was, but he got to the part where it was Bilbo's 100th birthday. And my dad just looked up at him and he's just kind of like, do I got to keep doing this?
The same for me, dog.
Can we read like where the red fern grows or something? Like I can't finish it.
Luke's dad, very, very salt of the earth guy.
I think paralyzingly sad over something this tweet.
He's like, oh no, my kid's a nerd.
Yeah. Oh shit. It's one of these. I used to beat them up in high school.
Luke, do you got a commander pulled up?
I do. Yeah, I'm assuming you'll want to pull it up.
Oh yeah, I'll pull it up on screen here. Yeah.
So this one's. I will admit, when we do this game, I click through one that's like either interesting or funny, and I found arguably a funny one.
What do you got?
Apothecary White from the Clue set.
What?
Apothecary White. That is
I
a.
remember glancing at all of these, and
What the hell is that?
Oh,
Apothecary White.
I'll wait till you pull it up. Can you pull it up on your screen? So
Yeah. All right, there we go. Apothecary White. 3 and a white, vigilance. Whenever you attack, create a food token for each player being attacked. Then you can pay 1 and tap it to tap X untapped foods you control. Create X one white human.
What is this? What is
What
this?
the fuck is this?
What is this?
I mean, mono white food is like kind of doable because of Lord of the Rings and the White Hobbits.
There's plenty of it. There's a lot of
nothing
it.
else does that really, particularly mono white. It's kind of a unique thing.
Yeah, maybe do like have a human kindred sub theme, I guess, because humans on the card. I only picked it because the Clue ones are very funny to me. Eons ago, Levi and I did an episode where we were talking about like doing Clue commanders for each other, and I did build it digitally. I didn't ever get the deck itself in paper, but I did a Colonel Mustard deck.
Yeah.
I didn't get. I mean, if I was gonna print it off, because it'd just be a meme, because the commander's name is Colonel Mustard.
So Colonel Mustard is
it's Commander Mustard. And Clue, he's Commander Mustard.
It's Commander Mustard, yeah. So he's actually like a really good.
It's a good card.
It's a good Boros like tokens thing.
Just for me, I'm not like a token swinging guy, so that's mainly the reason
why. My bit, and that's why like I was gonna make him a Commander Mustard deck, and he made me a Senator Peacock deck.
Yeah,
mono blue.
Senator Peacock. That's my jam.
And I was like,
mono blue.
This is stupid. I hate this. I hate this so much. Like Commander Mustard's like a pretty legit good like Boros tokens commander.
He's better than fucking Apothecary White, I think.
yeah.
What a fever dream the Clue cards are.
I know.
So easy to forget it even existed.
I've heard that the Clue mini game thing that they came out it was like a Clue family. Yeah. Apparently, Jason Alt said it was actually pretty fun. Yeah. Dana, you got a random commander here?
Yeah, the one that I got kicked out was Lyzolda the Blood Witch.
How do you spell that?
Lyzolda, which I think is
Lyzolda the Blood Witch. Here we go.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What
set is that?
That's the original Ravnica. Oh, or nope. Never mind. Shut up. What?
What'd you say it was, Dana?
It was Dissension, I think.
The person actually knows what they're talking about.
I could have sworn that was like a Ravnica thing.
Or Dissension's like the second Ravnica set, whatever the original Ravnica's first, then Dissension, then I can't remember what the third one was.
Oh, it was it was the second set in that block.
It was the Gate Crash.
It was the Gate Crash.
Got it. Yeah. Hell yeah. So you mean it was the best set ever?
Right.
Luke's right.
Lyzolda the Blood Witch, 1 black and a red, 2 mana, sacrifice a creature. Lyzolda deals 2 damage to target creature or player if the sacrificed creature was red. Draw a card if the sacrificed creature was black. Ooh. Interesting though that Lyzolda does not have to tap to do that.
Yes.
Which means that somebody has found an infinite combo with that.
And 3 mana is pretty reasonably priced for a commander, particularly from back then.
Yeah.
You could do something silly like only run Rakdos creature, so everyone you sacrifice does damage and draws you a card.
And draws you a card, yeah. You could only run multicolored.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's a red and the black one I'm thinking of right now. It's got red and black hybrid mana. Gosh, what is the name of that thing? It's like a combo machine. I can't even think of it right now, but we slapped it in a few decks with Jason. But
like put persist on stuff and like sacrifice things multiple times.
Gosh, what? No, there's a creature that like works perfectly with this. What the hell is the name of that? It's probably in the list here.
One of the most played ones, probably. Yeah.
Murderous Redcap. That's exactly the card I was trying to think of. Yeah, Murderous Redcap was the one I was thinking of.
And it has persist. Yeah.
And it has persist. Yeah. There you go. See, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Dreadhorde Butcher. Now that I'm just seeing this, Dreadhorde Butcher was one of my I had this weird like Rakdos like ping deck thing back in standard, back in Return to Ravnica or Gate or because he was in Ravnica, yeah, and during the Gate Crash or whatever like that. And Dreadhorde Butcher was like kind of a sneaky house in standard because for some reason there was because that was back in the Snapcaster Mage days. And if they didn't have one in hand or they weren't like ready to go to defend it, you would just start nuking people with Dreadhorde Butcher really fast. And then or you hit him with like a Vexing Devil or something like that.
And like looking at the most played cards, like someone else had that same idea. There's a bunch of Rakdos. It's all like all Rakdos cards in the list.
It's all multicolored stuff.
Yeah.
So you're right on. Yeah, you're right on the money there.
Fiend. Like why else would you run that? But well, hey, it's a 1-drop and it satisfies both conditions. It's both red and black.
I bet Mayhem Devil is a house with that. Like Mayhem Devil's got to be a monster in that deck. Yeah.
Yeah. Hot take. Good card.
Good card.
Yeah, that's playable.
Yeah, playable. Let's see. I got Xanathar, Guild Kingpin is my next random one. He's 4 blue and a black. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose target opponent until end of turn. That player can't cast spells. You may look at the top card of their library anytime. You may play the top card of their library, and you may spend mana as though mana of any color to cast spells this way.
Real quick, two quick things, super quick. The first thing, I heard Dana say nice, and I remember there was an episode of EDH Rec when I forget how 69 came up, like the number 69 came up in your stats or whatever. And then I think it was Matt who said the 69 and Dana, and like he didn't expect it, and Dana went, nice. And then Matt went, yes, a very nice number. I think about that a lot. So it was very fun. But the second thing, there's a bluegrass band called Dig Deep that like they're kind of like an up and coming bluegrass band, because I know that from my brother. Because my brother's a big bluegrass guy, but they had custom art cards made of them for their favorite commanders, and they were actually at MagiCon Chicago. This is before I really knew them, but one of them, his custom art commander was this Xanathar.
This is 6 mana is a lot, but like that's pretty playable too.
The stealing other people's stuff and playing their spells is, if you lean into it, is a very powerful strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I've thought about building this guy a few different times. I think at the time I was thinking about building a Dimir deck, and I ended up going with the original Satoru Umezawa as a ninjutsu deck. But I don't know. This is another one from the D&D. This is from Forgotten Realms, which Forgotten Realms I thought was really. Baldur's Gate is one of the all-time great commander sets, but I really like both of the D&D sets that have come out.
I do too. Yeah.
And
they also feel like Magic sets.
I was just gonna say this. Mm-hmm. They feel like a perfect hand and glove fit with Magic. I mean, just like Lord of the Rings, but that's because modern fantasy is all based on Lord of the Rings, right? Or it's all inspired from Lord of the Rings, or whatever. So that's why like it's a natural fit. But D&D, even being a newer property than Lord of the Rings, is a nice hand and glove fit with Magic, and it feels right.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I guess it's like in today's terms, it's technically Universes Beyond, but it doesn't feel like that at all.
Yeah,
I don't think
it's so close.
Like I don't put Baldur's Gate or Forgotten Realms in the same category as I do, even Lord of the Rings or Final Fantasy or something like that. It's not in the same bucket.
They're just another plane. Like I could
right, yeah.
Like Jace could planeswalk to Forgotten Realms.
Jace could swing by Baldur's Gate for lunch type of thing.
Absolutely.
That seems very possible. I can make that connection in my brain.
Him and Elminster are friends for sure.
They gotta be, right? Yeah.
No, they know each other.
Now it was Elminster and gosh, I don't know where I was going with this. Anyways, what the hell was I saying? Tom Bombadil, Elminster, Tom Bombadil.
I can get down with that.
They've got to be friends, right?
Yeah,
feels like they both have stories. Luke, what you got for another commander?
So this is one I actually tried building this one a while ago. I'll admit I skipped through a bunch of dumb ones. I saw Spider-Man one, I didn't want to do it.
Yeah,
but I came across this one. I actually tried building it, but the problem with a lot of these mono white decks that I like the idea of having a mono white deck. I like the idea of having a deck for every monocolor or
color combination.
Yeah, I like the idea of doing that. The problem I have with mono white.
You want to give me the name of the card?
I should probably do that. 8.5 tails. I like this card.
Oh yeah.
I think it's cool and it's interesting. I like it a lot. I just don't know how you would win the game with it. So
8.5 tails is white. Then it has a first ability is 1 and a white. For a target permanent you control gains protection from white until end of turn. And then one target spell or permanent becomes white until end of turn. You know what you do with this? You know how you win with this, Luke? Voltron.
Sure.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You make now we're cooking, baby.
Luke just perked up
Now
a little bit.
Now, first you have my interest. Now you have my attention.
I mean, to me, this screams Voltron, right? I mean, because you can functionally make it unblockable.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But that's a good point though. Like, it's like I don't need to win every game I play, but I want it to feel like I could have. Or like,
yeah, exactly.
I want to look at Commander and say, well, okay, this could win me a game. I might not do it, but like, I have the potential.
Whenever if I'm thinking of a commander, I don't want the one that's going to net me the most percentage of wins. I want one that like this is going to give me a game plan to maybe at some point win. I want to be able to like do a thing first. Yeah. When I was trying to brew this guy at first, or I was just like, I just don't know what to do with it. I saw this weird combo where like they won with what's that one enchantment? And it's like if you have one life at the beginning of your upkeep, you win.
Oh yeah,
Final Stand
Gideon's in the art.
Gideon's all like, I'm all sweaty and hot. But they did some weird combo where like they used Urborg to turn everything into swamps, and then there's like some way that you can like, it was some weird convoluted way that you win with like that Gideon alt win con thing. And I'm like, that, as much as I love alt win cons, I'm kind of a slut for alt win cons. That one's way too much work. I ain't putting work into that much. So I think Have Tails is cool. Voltron, I might even do it.
Yeah. Please don't.
It'll be my
you don't need a 10th Voltron deck.
And it wouldn't be good. It would not be a good one.
I do think actually it was a good point that you brought up though about decks needing to like theoretically have a plan on how they're going to try to win this game, because there was a Doctor Who precon timey-wimey that pissed me off. I've only played it against like twice, and it is a miserable experience because all it does is it's removing and adding suspend counters this whole time. So you're just like kind of casting a bunch of stuff, but also not. And and you're like every turn is like 15 or 20 minutes every time, and it's just stupid. You ever played against that thing, Dana?
I've played against it.
Oh my god!
It's just spinning wheels and hoping eventually like outvalue your opponent.
Yeah,
it does nothing. Yeah, and it's a disgusting precon.
Not only are spinning your wheels, but just like the actual not physical, but like the real life time equity of each turn takes so long. Like you're moving dice and. Heaven forbid, like the table gets knocked, and then the dice are like, "Oh fuck, how many counters were on my like 10 different suspended cards?"
This is the Joda player calling the timey-wimey deck dirtily.
Hey,
Matt and I did a show, I don't know, like 6 months ago, where we wanted to like talk about commanders that we thought were good but were underplayed. So we just started at the bottom of the list, like started working our way up, and all I did was like, how do I win with that? Can that actually win a game? And like eventually, like you hit somewhere like, oh, Quende from Dominaria, creature with first strike had double strike. Oh well, mono white, but like I'm just gonna run a bunch of creatures with first strike, and they all have double strike. Like that will kill people.
That
give a little bit of find some way to give them evasion in that deck. Oh, all these creatures that are 2/2s and 3/3s with first strike are now have double strike. Well, you can win games with that. Like that right there, that is a card. It's underplayed. It had like 200 and some decks, whatever it was. We looked at it at the time. Like you could build that cheap, and you'll win games with it.
White has lots and lots of both instants and sorceries, or like enchantment boons or whatever to give first strike or flying or something like that. Like there's where like creatures you control gain first strike until end of turn. There's tons of that kind of stuff in white too. So it's that's fun. Dana, what you got for another random commander?
The random one I got here was Grist the Hunger Tide.
The Hunger Tide,
which was one of the planes. I think it was Modern Horizons. Is that what it was from originally?
You're like the OG Modern Horizons. I think. Apparently it was reprinted in Duskmourn. So Grist is it's a Golgari Planeswalker, 1 black and green. As long as Grist isn't on the battlefield, it's a 1/1 insect creature in addition. What?
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
It's a 1/1 insect creature in addition to its other types. Okay.
It's a thinker.
Okay.
Which I think is relevant for stuff where like you can cast a creature spell from your graveyard that has power and toughness less than something. I think that's really relevant.
Yeah. +1 is create a 1/1 black and green insect creature token, then mill a card. If an insect was milled this way, put a loyalty counter on Grist and repeat this process. Then a -2, you can sack a creature and destroy a creature or a planeswalker, and then a -5 for the ultimate. Each opponent loses life equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. This has got to be. I mean, you can see this here in your categories. I mean, people are leaning heavy into the insects, obviously, to play on that +1.
And 6,000 decks need EDH like that is a commander that sees quite a bit of play.
Yeah, people are definitely running it. I don't know. This one feels like it's a little on rails though.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because I mean, like all of these are interrelated. You know, you're using insects to mill stuff, so it's mill and self mill, and then you're gonna bring them back out of the graveyard because you're in Golgari.
Yeah.
So like it seems like this is a little on rails.
There's a bunch of Golgari decks that do this. This just does the same thing with insects.
Right.
Yep.
That's actually like a quick topic. I actually kind of want to touch on and see what you like, get your thoughts on. Like how like a lot of new cards are, they're narrow, they're more powerful, but they're narrower.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of like kind of like instead of kind of like shallow and wide, you're going tall and and narrow type
More
of
specific,
thing.
more niche.
Yeah. So I don't know. I had a Marin of Clan Neltoth deck, and which I have now taken apart. Luke's lost a couple games to it, and
Lost a couple brain cells to it too.
Like you don't like Spore Frog. I don't know why you would not like Spore Frog. So but like this deck seems like it would just be the insect version of that exact.
It'd be kind of a worse version of Marin.
Yeah, it would be a worse version of Marin, and you could even like just build the Marin deck and then just put like a Maskwood Nexus in there, and then you're just good to go. I don't know. This is from the era of Golgari where I think they just decided that this is all Golgari does.
It's just gonna mill stuff and hope you can do something with the stuff.
That's all it does. So like
people give Boros, and they have been giving Boros a lot of shit for like the same thing over and over again. Like Golgari's been that way, kind of the same.
Golgari just kind of is what it is. Yeah, I will say Boros has gotten a lot of help in the last few years as far as just
for sure.
Interesting stuff. Like, you know, I mean, there's obviously plenty of like Boros equipment and tokens and stuff like that, but then you get like Quintorius Lore Master from gosh, the other one that I'm totally forgetting now, but a couple different spell slinger type commanders in Boros, and
there's enough like Ren's Resolve-esque kind of cheap draw spells that didn't used to really be a thing. You know, there was always a faithless looting or some variants, but like not things that put you cards ahead. There's enough things like where you can get cards ahead, even if it's off impulse draw or whatever it is, that just wasn't an option, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyways, that was Randy Commandy. So I do want to go back to that topic I talked about just for like a few minutes here. I won't keep you too much longer, but the card design where you're going, you have a lot of like really powerful effects that only like work in this very narrow space, or like the thing only happens once a turn, but like this once a turn is like backbreaking. Or then you get to like older cards that are more versatile, they can do things like that. Do you see that as just like a different card design, or do you think that is like better or worse than?
It's probably better for newer players. It's worse for me, if that makes sense.
Totally, yeah.
For one, I tend to not look at a commander and want to brew the commander. I tend to like have an idea and then try to figure out what commander lets me do the idea. It's like, oh, I want to build a Cypher deck. Okay, well, Cypher's all in black blue, so I need to look at the Dimir commanders, and I'm going to ignore the top, whatever percentage, because I just don't want to brew those. So what among these Dimir commanders here is going to let me build a Cypher deck? And how would it interact? And hopefully I will find something and then brew from that point on. So that's usually how I brew. Most people aren't brewing that way, particularly newer players, or they're seeing the thing that says, oh, run a bunch of shrines, or oh, run all of these things, this mechanic from the set, do as many of those things as possible. And they're going to run, hey, oh, this is a saga deck, I'm put all my sagas in here, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I think it is better for newer players. But I like the sense of discovery, whether it's finding a commander that works for the idea I had, or like just seeing something old, be like, what would be interesting with that? I think it would work in a cool way. So that kind of stuff, I think I enjoy more, but I understand why they want to hold your hand a little bit for a newer player, particularly given how big Commander is in terms of like its popularity, but also big in terms of all the cards. There's like, 25, 30,000 cards you can choose from. Yeah. I get why they want to make it a little bit easier for you and like just show, well, this is the path we want you to take.
Yeah.
It's like they kind of have to do that.
It's kind of like in their way, and correct me if I'm like understanding this incorrectly, but it's kind of their way to like fight power creep.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, they're making something more narrow, instead of just making things more powerful. It's more narrow in this lane. And sure, maybe like when like all the stars align, it really punches or whatever. But the complexity creep is the way to fight power creep. So,
Sure.
I mean, you look at that one like Esper Sauron from you know what I'm talking about? Sauron.
Yeah.
The one where I was like, I genuinely, and people have memed it before, I genuinely cannot tell you at all what it does. I know it's just like this weird chart that you got to follow to even like get its thing to work, but yeah. Complexity creep seems to be the direction they do. What you were describing before, Levi, not necessarily be complexity creep. It's more like niche stuff, but I feel like
because there's no Strixhaven set coming.
Yeah, that is true.
I actually really like Strixhaven. I thought it was kind of a cool set.
I'm super over magical schools. For me, I can't.
Fair enough. I like that there's like some goofy like designs on there. Just like, is there a lot of words? Yeah, but you know what? I'm fine with that.
Well, I thought Tarkir Dragonstorm was kind of a perfect Magic set. Like it just executed on everything. Like, and it felt like an old Magic set, and
it was very good.
Everything about that set felt really good to me.
The mobilize mechanic is like that couldn't be more down my alley. Like that is like perfect. Voice of Victory is a card designed in a lab for me. I love that card.
And my favorite color combination is Teamer. I had some cool, fun Teamer stuff in there. Made me very happy. So yeah, it's nice to know they can still do it too. Like
when they want to do it, they can do it. They can execute.
They can do it.
I would even argue that like the in universes set now, Aether Drift aside, I think for the most part, the in universes sets have generally been pretty good.
The last year to 2 years, yeah, for sure.
Murders at the manor
after murders.
Like I don't like, even if you don't like the look or the feel of Outlaws of Thunder Junction, that is a really powerful set. Like I'm on the record.
Bloomburrow's great.
Bloomburrow was amazing. I'm on the record.
Redwall boy.
I'm on the record that I believe Outlaws at Thunder Junction will age similarly to New Capenna, and that people kind of hate the flavor off that. But like as the years have gone on, people have gone back to New Capenna and be like, oh wait, there's a lot of really good cards in this set.
There really are.
And
Foundations is a really good set.
Foundations was awesome. I think Edge of Eternities is gonna age pretty well. Like they clearly can put out a really good in-universe set when they take the time to do it right. I
think they're in a position where like they've tripled their output from 7 years ago, and they haven't tripled their staff. No. Like And I don't know, I'm not sure if tripling it's enough. I'm not sure if that's like a direct correlation person to, like, I don't know if it works out that way even. They probably needs more people than that. And they haven't done that. So like, you're going to get some things that slip between the cracks. More often than not, like they nail them at like last few years. I feel like they have been.
I do love how the two MagiCons that I've gone to, both were MagiCon Chicago.
Oh yeah,
one was Murders, and one was Aether Drift.
Yeah, the last two MagiCons we've gone to were the worst two sets.
That feels real bad.
And I actually kind of wonder though if like, because next year is Lorwyn and there's a new Strixhaven set coming out. Like, I wonder if they're gonna also fall into the trap with in-universe sets that they're only just gonna like play the bangers that everybody knows types of thing. Like,
sure,
will they ever go back to Mirrodin or something like that? I mean, because like Lorwyn is it's a blast from the past type of thing that satisfies the old heads. It's like, oh, it's a fun new thing, brings the new players to Lorwyn, but you can't just like. Well, I mean, they're going to go back to homelands or like at a certain point, they're going to, are they going to keep just hitting the bangers in the in-universe sets too? I mean, they keep going back to Ravnica and stuff like that, which I mean, and partially you can't blame them with Ravnica because like all of the other Ravnica sets are like really good. Like Return of Ravnica was awesome. Even
it's kind of the new Dominaria to a degree. It's like kind of the center of everything.
Yeah. And they're also kind of doing it where stuff that I would not consider like a classic, they've gone back to. They did Zendikar, which was in my mind is like in the classic realm, but like they went back to Ikoria,
I like Ikoria.
I'm not saying Ikoria is wrong, but these sets that, in my opinion, they went back to
Ixalan. They went back to Ixalan, which I thought Ixalan was really good the first time.
I loved Ixalan, but it's not considered like one of the.
It's not an all-time classic. Yeah.
They didn't go to Ikoria. I meant Ixalan, but the other one was the fairy tale one. They went back to that one too.
Eldraine. They went back to Throne of Eldraine was awesome.
Yeah. So they go back to some of those now.
Yeah, I mean, if the set's good, I don't care. It's fine. Yeah. I hope that they continue to find joy, and I hope Magic players, even new ones, like if they come in with Final Fantasy or they come in with whatever UB set, that when Lorwyn comes out or whenever the new Strixhaven set comes out or whatever, that they find the same joy in those sets and they find the same enthusiasm for those sets as they did for their UB set.
Yes.
And I know that takes time, but that's my hope. I think like
Yeah.
that's what you got to hope for, like as far as like the health of the game going forward, I think.
And based on a lot of these sets we just talked about the last minute or two, I feel like I'm pretty confident they will hit those marks because it seems like they have been way more often than not.
I would totally agree with that. And even like a goofy set like Outlaws at Thunder Junction, like they could go back there. I think like they could make it less kind of like tropey. They could go back
too on the nose.
It was too on the nose, but like they could go back to that plane and make it less on the nose, and I think it would still be really good.
They need to make it like Dark Tower. That's what they got to do. They got to make it weird Western. I mean, I'm kind of not kidding, honestly. Like it was so fucking campy that like they need to go up
really lead into like Blood Meridian.
Blood Meridian. Yeah. I want a fucking Lonesome Dove. Universes Beyond. I would buy the shit out of Lonesome Dove. Yeah. Fucking Augustus McCrae Commander all day.
That would be dope. That would be magical.
Oh, fucking Blue Duck. I mean, Blue Duck.
All right. Well, we'll wrap her up today, Dana. I really appreciate you jumping on. I know we went a little bit longer than we were anticipating, but I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much.
I'm glad to have people like you kind of at the center of kind of the Magic content creator universe. Cause like when new players go find new channels, you know, it's like you guys, the Command Zone, and like a few other that you like send them to Tolarian that you send them to like right away or whatever. And I'm glad that you and Joey and Matt do such a good job.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
I'm very glad that I
guys are a good face for the game.
They are very much so. I'm very glad that I got another opportunity to talk to you because the last time, I think the only time I've ever interacted with you was in MagiCon Chicago, and I gave a real dumb answer when we did that like trivia.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that trivia game was fun, and I beat Joey on a card for the it was a mono black like Reanimator card, and I beat Joey on the trivia.
I forget it might have been you I challenged. I can't remember, but it was
and it was
a type thing. It was the most popular type, and it was dragons, elves, or zombies. And like a real dumb fuck, I said zombies. They still gave me the card sleeves though, so cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
well, good.
So
appreciate you jumping on.
Glad to.
Absolutely. So thanks everybody for watching this episode of Fair Magic. We'll be back again next time. Thanks everybody.